This is English shorthand dictation number 96 and the dictation speed is 140 words per minute. Ready? Start. Honorable Chairperson Sir, thank you for giving me this opportunity to participate in this discussion. These three codes that have been brought by the government today with a view to consolidating 25 central laws is an extraordinary event. I do not believe that an exercise of this nature has ever been attempted in the past because together these bills have 411 clauses and 13 schedules running into 350 pages. It is something extraordinary. I am not sure how many honorable members have been able to read them in this short period of time. I am sure the minister has had a painstaking job in putting this together. The standing committee has, of course, labored literally over several months on many of the key provisions of this bill. The government says that it has accepted almost 74% of the recommendations of the standing committee. Be that as it may, there are many novel features which I need to flag before this honorable house for discussion. The first code is the Wages Code, which was brought in 2019 and we all welcomed it at that point in time. Now, of these three codes, one is the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020. One of the criticisms that we have seen has been the excessive use of delegated legislation that is running through most of these codes. This is something that I have personally seen. Honorable Law Minister will appreciate that sometimes delegated legislation can create all sorts of problems. For instance, the code does not specify many of the provisions with regard to the earlier acts. For example, guaranteed access to drinking water, canteen, washrooms, etc. These have been left out now for delegated legislation. Some minimum corpus of health and safety standards ought to have been defined in the code itself and could very easily have been done and might have been salutary. The other thing is about clause 127, which allows the central government and state governments to exempt by notification any establishment from the provisions of this code. Now, this growth in economic activity cannot obviously provide a carte blanche for suspension of basic health and safety standards. This is something that the House must consider carefully whether this should be permitted and allowed in a code which is now being brought in. I must straight away tell the House that in the context of the state of Odisha, the Standing Committee has commended many novel initiatives which have been adopted by the government of Odisha, both inside and outside the state for the benefit of occupational safety, health and working conditions of the inter-state migrant workers during this period. Many people say that there are a lot of migrant laborers going out of Odisha to work outside and there are not enough employment opportunities in the state of Odisha. That is entirely wrong. My friends who keep saying that must understand that there is an equally large number of people who come from neighboring states to work in Odisha. India is one country where there is freedom of movement. Everybody, according to their skill set, works in particular conditions in particular industries. So, let us not say that people go out of Odisha because the state of Odisha has not developed enough. But the point is that many welcome initiatives like Migrant Labour Help Desk, seasonal hostels for children of migrant workers, and the strengthening of anti-human trafficking unit are all important provisions that we have brought in. These can be considered at some point of time because these codes will undoubtedly see many amendments and changes over the years because these cannot be static and nothing is carved on stone. Therefore, I have no doubt about this. The other thing that we have done in the state of Odisha is that we have also given a couple of suggestions to the central government. The phrase appropriate government in clause 2 needs to be relooked by the central government because the central government seems to appropriate everything to itself. You must understand that law and order is a state subject. Therefore, the state government ought to be the appropriate government for the purpose of occupational safety and health in central government factories and other major ports, because these are now being administered by the state government. So you cannot have the state government administering them and the central government being the appropriate government. This is something that the Honorable Minister will probably need to look into. One salutary thing that we have done in Odisha is about this whole concept of Inspector Raj. Clause 2 of the code still talks of chief inspector. In our state, we call them director. Section 2 defines the term worker. You must relook into this definition of a worker as one who is drawing rupees 18,000. I think it is too low a threshold amount. Workers in today's age and as per our level of inflation should not get less than rupees 30,000. I think rupees 30,000 should be a basic benchmark for workers today. Basically, it comes to rupees 1200 a day. This is such a large code that one cannot talk of everything. So I am only talking about very basic things. The second code is the Code on Social Security. Clause 142 mandates Aadhaar verification. This is something that we have debated again and again. The Supreme Court has said that it can be done by legislation. Now, this again does not do it by legislation necessarily, because you have left it to delegated legislation. So, you insist upon Aadhaar by delegated legislation. Please have a look at it, because Odisha has set an example again. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we exempted Aadhaar verification for obtaining goods under the PDS because many people did not have it. The other thing that I need to show is that there is some delegated legislation again on some other issues, but I am not going into that as it is going to take too much time. One of the criticisms of this legislation is going to be that there is a lot of encroachment upon the powers of the states. The objective of the Building and Other Construction Workers Welfare Cess Act is to augment the resources of the state boards constituted under the Building and Other Construction Workers Act. Here again, the central government encroaches far too deep into the domain of the state government. These are basic bulwarks of the state government. Therefore, I urge upon the central government to revisit and relook into this at some point in time. The last one is the Industrial Code. On the Industrial Code, I have a very serious concern. Honorable Law Minister will again bear with me on this. Clause 55 on the dispute resolution mechanism allows the appropriate government, state or center, to modify or reject an award issued by the tribunals in the interest of public grounds affecting national economy or social justice. The Honorable Minister will recall it since he is a senior counsel of great eminence. There was an identical provision of Section 17A in the Industrial Disputes Act. This was struck down by the Andhra Pradesh High Court. A similar provision was also struck down by the Madras High Court. This is bound to be challenged. You cannot undo a quasi-judicial court's order by legislation or by executive action. Therefore, I believe that something like Clause 55 is not going to stand, and if it is challenged, then it is not going to stand the scrutiny of the courts. Apart from that, there are many other provisions in Industrial Relations Code which have diluted the provisions with regard to trade unions and strikes. One particular thing which leaves me a little concerned is the fact that theoretically this code leaves open the possibility of an employee who is working on a fixed term contract almost indefinitely. Now, that is something that is not desirable at all, and I think it is something that the government will probably need to relook into at some point of time. Clause 40 also allows the employer to change conditions of service related to suspension, misconduct, and means of redress without giving any notice to the worker. This again tilts the balance of power towards the employer, leaving the employee in a very vulnerable situation. Clause 9 is for registration of trade unions.